I know there's a delay between me getting excited and it appearing in YouTube itself. So we're going to have to wait now for it to get to YouTube itself. That could take 20, 30 seconds. But there's no point in getting excited because I know but if it happens, that will be glory for me. And it appearing in YouTube itself. So we're going to have to
And there
wait
it is.
now for it to get to YouTube itself.
Oh my God.
That could take
It actually
20,
did
30
work.
seconds.
So what we're going to do now we've got the video working for us. We're now going to sort out this problem of the audio. In other words, whose audio is being heard where and going where. Oh, to do that, I will turn up the audio. So what we're going to do, I will be silent for a second, and you may just hear in the background we're now going to sort audio for in other words, whose audio is being heard where and going where. Oh, to do that, I will turn up the audio. So what we're going to do, will be silent. And there is an echo in the audio. The audio for in other words, whose audio is being heard. Let's have a look and see why we think that would happen. I will turn up the audio. And the simple answer is, and there is an any obvious reason why there would be an audio echo. In other words, whose audio is being heard. Let's have a look and see why we think that would happen. I will turn up the audio. And the simple answer is, and there is an any obvious reason. There is nothing would be obvious an audio echo. Why there would be an echo. In other words, whose audio is being heard. Let's have a look and see why we think that would happen. Let's have a look at my audio devices. Simple answer is, I can't see any obvious reason. There is nothing would be obvious an audio echo. Why there would be an echo. But there definitely is one. Let's have a look at my audio devices. Simple answer is, I can't see any obvious reason. There is nothing would be obvious. Well, the audio doesn't work. That is really quite worrying. But the other question, of course, is where is the audio not working? Because it could be not working in my. I don't know where it could not be working. Well, I think I need an assistant. I'm going to invite somebody else. That is really quite so I can. But the other question, of course, is where is the audio not working? Because it could be not working in my. I don't know. But while I'm doing that, I'm also, I think I need an assistant to try. I'm going to invite somebody else. That is really quite like another trick I know. Where is the audio not working? Because it could be not working in my. Because the biggest reason for being here was not to solve an audio problem that I didn't even know I had. The biggest issue was to find a method to stop this stupid thing where I will show you one thing. The biggest reason for being here was not to solve an audio problem that I didn't even know I had. The biggest issue, a solution to that was, that is to switch from normal Zoom, stop this stupid to Productions. I will show you one thing. Activate Production Studio, and Production Studio has me a solution to that. So the first screen of Production Studio has, in fact, I can show you. So this is the first screen of Production Studio. She has me sitting here in the middle of the screen. Production Studio. I've got some extra places for guests that I haven't yet defined. Production Studio, and I have a little Lord Zoom logo. So I'm going to go live. The first screen of Production Studio has, in fact, I can show you. So what I want to see is what happens me sitting here when I start using Production Studio instead of the traditional that I haven't yet defined view that we see. And I have a little Lord Zoom logo. Okay, so I know Production Studio is working because I've just seen a duplicate of myself appear. And there we are. Okay, so the problem that we thought we had successfully fixed. So that gives us the right look. We have an audio problem. And as I am actually writing almost nothing apart from this, at least we have solved the problem, the mystery that we've had for some while. It was announced a little while ago that there are quite a few things happening with Production Studio. Production Studio is now available in the cloud. And that means that I can run Production Studio without using much processing. And of course, if I'm not using much processing power, it's easier for me to use Production Studio. So in the old days, I would use Production Studio if I needed it. And if I had other
applications that were going to mix video and audio and all the other things, I would use them first, and I would not use Production Studio. But now Production Studio is in the cloud. It's not going to cost me much bandwidth because I've got big connections anyhow. It's not going to cost me much processing power, and it's going to allow me to drop a what you see is what you get onto the system. So I'm still screen sharing. So I'm going to take that production screen share, and I'm going to find one of my other designs, and I'm going to add that screen share to my design. And I'm going to add myself to that design. And you will not be able to see this because at the moment I'm in Production Studio. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use that. I've created a scene like you saw before. I'm now going to send it live, and you will now see it on the screen. 3, 2, 1, here it comes. So there you are. There is a screen share, which is the screen share of what we've been working on. And on the side, see if I can point in the right direction. At the side over here is moi. I'm on this side. The rest of it's on that side. And terrific, because what you see is what you get. On the YouTube, I have the system running for me. But of course, I'm pointing the wrong way. It's that way. It's that way. I'm on that side, and it's over there. But there it is, running next to me. I would like to think you were all excited, but probably a lot of you don't even realize we had this problem in the first place. Well, we did, and we are so happy that we have fixed it, that we will now be able to produce all of our Lord Zoom Lives directly to the internet, through to YouTube. Oh, we may even throw in a link to it as well, just for the sheer delight of doing it. That screen this is my design. I'm going to add myself. This is the biggest announcement, and this week, you are not apart from Zoomtopia, of course. I'm in Production Studio, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use that. Let's see if we can add somebody else to the meeting. Now, the reason I want to do that is because if I screen share me on the screen and I show you other things, we're going to get into a death spiral of shares. There is so I'd like to try and bring another person into the meeting, which is the screen share of what we've been working on. And on Studio here side. See if I think he's logged. I've got to check it's not logged in as the same person. It isn't. Let me on this side. The rest of it's on that side. And log it in as here. Terrific, because what you see is what you get. I go back to the calendar. On the YouTube, I have the system. Again, I could show you this, but if I show you this, we'd be back to that death spiral thing again. I'm pointing the wrong way. So let's just. That way. Oh, okay. Why didn't you prepare this all from the start, John? Because no clue how this live stream was going to go. I have tried it before, but I haven't tried it before with this configuration and the system on its own. So I'm going to try and get this guy into the meeting, and then we can have fun with him. And I've noticed one of my friends is in the audience as well. So that's useful too. I'm getting some commentary in the chat, which is very helpful. So thanks to Ray. Okay, so here we are in a second time. So it's going to come out of the Mac Studios speakers. I don't really want it coming out of anywhere, really, do I? Yeah, it'd be okay. It'd be okay. Let's just. So that one's going to come out of the Mac Studios. It's talking through the camera, which is that one there. I can already hear my echo. So I am going to say bye-bye from here, and I'm going to talk to you from the other account, which is going to be interesting. If it all works properly, it's going to be more interesting. So I'm going to mute myself, and I'm going to do some magic. I can have a go at some magic. I think I'm doing it the right way around. I might be doing it back to front, but we'll never know unless we try it. So let's do this. Hello. I am now sitting here getting very confused because I'm talking to, and I've got the earphones of that person there. So I'm going to take them off. Before I go mad, I have an instant echo. So I know you can hear me because they can hear me too. And what I'm going to do is I'm now going to play around with the users on that production studio thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make me appear on the production studio thing as, I should be there, I am. So I made myself the middle person. And I'm going to go live with that so you can see that change to magic. So now you can see I'm doing the right way around. That I am doing it back to front, but we'll never know unless we sharing the screen. So let's do this. Of the screen which is doing production studio. And I am now going to turn myself off so that it does a capture of the screen that we're looking at. And we can then stop sharing. And we are now two people. Okay, I'm expecting a, come on, let's have some applause. Let's have some emojis. Come on, in the audience. Let's see what's going on here. So I'm no longer beside myself with glee because I have put to my side the other screen. So instead of being two people, I am now one person with a camera and the other person is sharing that screen straight off their camera. So it makes us look like two people side by side, although in effect, I'm effectively fudging it with one person and I'm putting in a screen share next to me. So what I can do now is I can show you that that's the production studio window here. So pardon me if I look over here because that's where the other screen is. And you can see that that's the production studio that I'm doing. Underneath is Switchboard, the app that I'm doing, but I'm going to drag that one out of the way for a second because what I'd want to do, no, I don't have to do that because, well, I'm going to because you might not notice it otherwise. I'm now going to try and change round to another screen. Let's see. In fact, I've done it already with that. I'm so quick. I've done it already without noticing. There we are. So let's get rid of these little pop-ups here. This is a YouTube page. So this thing that you're looking at on the left-hand side of your screen is a YouTube page. And this YouTube page is showing you what's happening live with YouTube. So we can see YouTube. If I drag my show thing across again, and I flip to screen 2, you can now see that this is the scene controller in Production Studio. So we could set up another screen. Let's set up. Here it is. So let's set up this screen. So no, let's set up this screen. So let's set up this screen, and this time I'm going to put my speaking self at the top, and I'm going to put my screen sharing self underneath. I'm going to flip to that. And you see I've now turned them around because I've changed the order. Now, why have I produced something with two boxes down the left-hand side, which is now side by side? It's very simple. The nice thing about Production Studio is it is responsive.
it responds to the situation. And the situation I gave it was, here's a big screen share at the left, and then there's two people on the right. Well, of course, there's nothing to screen share because I haven't given it a source. There's just two people. So Production Studio very nicely just lays us out side by side. Now, I think I have a scene here, which you can see, where again, I have no content to be shown by the speaker, but I can assign myself as the second spot. And I'm hoping that these will be the same idea, but these are narrow windows. So it will share for us in a narrow format. And it does. So there we are. And what is important is if I flip back to the other screen, you can see that the left-hand side is now, there we are, looking at a chopped off version of YouTube. But what's important to note is that even in that chopped off version of YouTube, you can see that YouTube is following our setup. So let's break it now. What I'm going to do now is I'm now going to switch back to the normal speaker view in Zoom. I have a feeling it's all going to fall apart and we are just going to get the normal Zoom output. So here we go. It's asking me if I want to stop the scene. Let me show you that so you can see that happening. It's asking me, do I want to stop the scene for everyone? And I stop the scene for everyone. And the next thing you know, let's have a look. And we're down to one person. So we're down to one speaker. Let's switch over to the other speaker. I've spotlit the other speaker. And the other speaker, I believe, is going to take over. The other speaker taking over, of course, is that screen that we're sharing. Let me put my other person back to a camera again. There we are. Now we've got the two twins, the two of us. One there, one there. Hello. We are connected. And we now switch over to the one speaker on the screen because I spotlit one. So if I now remove the spotlight, I will now see, what will I now see? I now see the other person? Yes, I knew it. I noticed. I had to wait. Sorry, I had to wait for the YouTube to catch up to see the other person. If I go back into Production Studio mode, I can flip back into that version. Takes a few seconds, but here we go. I'm now in Production Studio, and I will go live with Production Studio, and it now takes over as the two people set up, which is what I had last on the system. And in this view, I can also have a shared screen. So I'm going to redo the shared screen to be that second screen where we're looking at all the settings. So that is now being shared, and I will now go live. I never know which one to look at now. I will now go live with that scene, which is showing my second screen. We've got the two twins, the two of us, one there, one there. And there we are now. We have, and we now switch over to, I'm hearing the audio is one speaker on the screen. We now have on our, because Studio screen, we've got two thin versions of us. Now remove the spotlight, and we've got the screen share to the side. And that will, and it does. What will I now see? That now turns up on YouTube. I now see the other person. Yes, and I noticed that. I had to wait for the YouTube to catch up. It's a nicer setup. Now, the way I've done that, if I go back in the Production Studio settings that I have here, that scene that I've chosen, takes a few seconds. You will notice, here we go, that it's a different one to this one. Can you see how
Production Studio
here
go live with Production Studio, and it now takes
is the normal
over
wide
as
angle
2 people
shot?
setup,
But
which
I've
is
also chosen
I
one of
had
the
last
other aspect ratios.
on
I
the
think it
system.
was 5:4 instead of
And
16:9.
in this view,
Which makes
also
the
have a
video
shared
narrower.
screen.
So
I'm
we're in
gonna
a
redo
narrower box, the
shared
two
screen
me's.
to be that second screen where we're looking at all the
And
settings.
then I've added a share screen.
So that is
and
now being shared.
because
And
the
I will now
third
go
one, the
live.
lowest, is empty,
Looked at now.
a lovely
We'll
responsive
now go live
version
with
of Production
that
Studio
scene,
in the cloud,
which
that's
is
here,
showing my
it's
second
in the cloud,
screen. I've got the two
has
twins,
laid us out,
two of us,
one on top of the other,
there, one
and
there.
lost
And there
that
we are
extra
now.
space
We are
we
connected.
have is sitting
We
there for
now switch
the
over
other
to,
person.
I'm hearing the audio is
But
even
one
more
speaker
on the screen.
we now have on our,
Because
and apart from the
studio
fact that I
screens,
can hear
well,
an
we've got
echo
two
coming
thin
from the
versions
Mac
of
OS
us. Now remove the spotlight,
Studio,
and we've got the screen share to the side,
it sounds like I'm one audio.
and I will
That
now
will,
see-
so let's
and it does.
see if we can switch
Well,
back
that
over to
now
the other
stands
audio,
up
see if that
on
echo's gone now.
YouTube. I now see the other person.
I'm going to mute
Yes, and
myself.
I noted
That,
had to
I
wait.
think,
Sorry, I
keep
had to
talking,
wait
so you
for
watch me
the
mute.
YouTube
3,
to catch up.
2,
It's a nicer
1.
setup.
Now, the way I've done that
If
is,
I go back
if you look
into
at the Production Studio
settings
that
that
I have here, the scene that I've chosen,
version. Takes a few seconds.
you will notice
Here we go.
that it's a different
And
one
now
to this
I'm
one.
talking
You see how
on the other user.
here
Go live with Production Studio, and it now takes
is the
over
normal
as
wide
2
angle
people
shot.
setup.
But I've also
And I
chosen
now
one of
hope
the other
that
aspect
there
ratios. I
is
think it
a
was
lack
5:4
of echo.
instead of
And
16:9.
in this view,
Which
Because if there
makes
isn't,
the
I
video
don't know where
narrower.
the echo's
So
coming
we're in a
from.
narrower box, the two me's.
Anyone in my audience, can you hear an echo?
And then I've added a share
That
screen.
are very good.
And
That sounds good.
because
I will
the
now
third
go
one, the
live.
lowest, is empty,
Looked at now.
a
I'm
lovely
going to be
response.
really
Now
brave
go
now.
live.
I'm going to
Version
turn up the
of
audio just for a
Production Studio
second
in
on
the
the
cloud,
YouTube
which
and
is
see if I can listen
cloud.
into the YouTube
has laid
and
us
see if I
out,
can hear any
one on
echoes.
top of the other,
There, one
and
there.
lost
And there
that
we are
extra
now.
space
We are
we
connected.
have is sitting
We
there
now
for
switch
the
over
other
to-
person.
And I can see, I can hear some audio in the background.
Now have
So we will need to have a look at
and
that.
apart from the fact that I can hear an
We've
echo
got two
coming
thin
from the
versions of
Mac
us.
OS,
What I will
Studio,
do
we've
though,
got the
I'm just going to go
screen
to
share
my
to the
Mac,
it sounds
which of
like
course
I'm
I
one
know
audio.
is causing an echo at the moment
That
because
will-
let's
I can hear it.
see if we can switch
Right.
back over to the
Now
other
stands
audio
up
and see if that
on
echo's
Device
gone.
YouTube.
is not plugged in.
I'm going to
That
mute
won't make any noise.
myself. That, I think,
Sorry, I
keep
had to
talking.
Where else
so
could I
watch
have an
me
echo?
mute.
I could have an echo
3,
from
2,
the video sharing,
Now, the
but
way
that's
I've done that,
turned
if you
off,
go
so I
back
can't
to
see any
the
echo there.
Production Studio settings that I have here, the scene that I've chosen,
Takes a few seconds.
you will notice
Here we go.
that it's a different
And
one
now
to this
I'm
one.
talking
You see how
on the other
Studio
user. It does
here
seem to be.
Live with Production Studio.
I'm assuming
is the
I'm
normal
going to
wide
assume
angle shot, but I've
that
also
in one of
chosen
the
other
shares that I
aspect
have
ratios.
here,
I think it
a
was
lack
5:4.
of echo. I have an idea. I have an idea that the screen share is picking up computer audio. So I'm going to turn off the computer audio and the screen share. That's my guess. My guess is that the audio we're having, in fact, I can show you, can't I? Because I can share the screen share. I'm thinking that the problem was due to the share sound option here, and that was then possibly picking up the conversation through the streaming service and then recurring back into the system again. So I'm going to try that. And we have a report of no echo. So let's see if the screen sharing now, we still have no echo. Of course, the screen sharing is not going to show up on the Production Studio, so you guys can't even see the screen share yet. So let me add my personal screen share as the screen, and I'll send it live. And okay, I'm going to show you what I did so that you can see how I changed it. Because did you know, did either of you know that you can start and plan a new screen share while your previous screen share is still showing? Did you know that? You should do, because I keep mentioning it to people, because people keep going, I didn't know that. And I'm going to keep telling everybody until everybody knows. And I've told everyone. So let me show you what I've found. This is the screen share window. And I can set the next screen share. I'm not going to, but I want to show you what's on it. So when I first did my first screen share, I clicked the share sound button because it's a habit that I have for sharing the sound of the screens. And of course, that is likely to have caused my echo. So I didn't hit it the second time and I just hit share. And now we have a better share because nobody is going to smuggle in that sound. And you can see I've turned my volume down, and I'm now going to flip to the machine that's running YouTube. And I'm going to make myself disappear again so you can see that. So that's that's video there, which is down below me. That is what YouTube is seeing. Okay, I can turn off the chat. Don't need to chat there. But actually what I want to do is turn this up. And I can tell you there is no echo now. Except there will be a little bit of an echo because I was listening to the sound. But there is no echo showing on that YouTube stream. So for me, dear listener and dear watchers and those on YouTube later, I have delivered what I wanted to achieve. And so let's review it in a fanfare of what we've done. We know that Production Studio allows us to take a content and lay it out in some pretty layouts. And we know that Production Studio makes a more pretty looking layout than the standard one. We also know that Production Studio has its own separate recording format. And what I mean by that is there is an option in the cloud recordings that you can make a cloud recording that looks exactly as Production Studio looks. So this means that I have a WYSIWYG again. I have a what you see is what you get on my cloud recording. The third stage is we want to see on YouTube what we see in the meeting, in the event. Now, by using Production Studio for the meeting, or the webinar, of course, where it's going to be most used, not only is that layout going to the Production Studio recording, but it's also going to the YouTube feed or the RTMP feed, which can then go into YouTube, into LinkedIn, into Facebook. So somebody's going to tell me, we could do a lot of this before, John. And I'll say, yeah, I'm pretty sure some of it could be done before. However, this big move of Production Studio in the cloud means it's so much more simple, and you can use the same computer to achieve this, that the obstacle of technicalities and plugging extra stuff in and having to have extra machines running and maybe having extra staff to look after those machines, that problem is abated. We can run, if you've got a good quality machine, we can run Zoom, Webinar, and Production Studio. We can send it up. We've got the streaming service here that will hand it out in different directions, and it all works together. And apart from the fact that you still get that small delay between the real world and the streamed world into YouTube, this works beautifully. And so I can say my work here is done. I am so relieved that it works, because frankly, I'd run out of ideas. So there we are. Thank you to everybody for coming today. Thank you for you watching this on the recording. The world of Zoom has just got a bit easier. Now, literally days, should be counting it in hours away from Zoomtopia. We wait to see what fantastic things happen that we can make use of next week. Thank you to those watching in the recording. Thank you for those live. A special thanks to Ray, who's been throwing comments in to give me a bit of feedback as well. We will see you all in the next Lord Zoom Live.